Good day everyone. Today we'll be continuing our tutorial video on the food ordering application. For this video, we'll be connecting our application to Firebase and collecting data for the Firebase which will be used to populate our home page. To start, we'll make some changes on the existing file. First, we'll change the font to Poppins because our previous fonts don't really match the style on the Figma file. After that, we'll be adding the Firebase packages. The first is the Firebase core, which is required for all Firebase services. Next, we'll be adding the Cloud Firestore package. After adding our package, we'll go to Firebase and create our new project. We would call the application Food Ordering Application. Once the application is created, we'll enable Cloud Firestore service and use all the default values to set up our project. Next, we'll change the role, which is the setting for the project, and setting the role to true allows read and write permission for everyone on this database. Since we've enabled the read and write permission for this database, let's take a look at the data that we'll be sending to the Firebase. I've created a mock data for the restaurant and the JSON. You can download both of these files on the project repository on GitHub. The link to the GitHub will be available in the description. Next, we have to send our mock data from the JSON file into our Firestore database. To do this, I'll be making use of a Python script which I created for this purpose. I've created a video on how to upload files from JSON to Firebase, and the link to this video is going to be located above this video, so you can check it out and look at the code which we'll be using in this project. So let's go back to Firebase. On the project settings, we'll go to the service account where we'll download the keys required to access our Firebase application. Once the file is downloaded, we would create a new folder and open it in VS Code. Inside the folder, you can paste the code which is downloaded from the GitHub link. You can find the link in the description and above the video now. You paste the code into the JSON to Firebase Python file. Next, we copy the JSON file for the restaurant and the products into the project directory. Under the main, we scroll to the last part of the code and modify the last two lines to enable us fetch data from JSON and send it to our Firestore console. After running this code, all our data will be sent directly to our Firestore database. Next, we need to configure our Flutter application for Firebase, and I'll be using the Firebase CLI. You can find instructions to install Firebase CLI from the official Firebase website. I'll create a link to it which will be available on this video and in the description. Using the Flutter file config, I'll fetch the available Firebase projects in my account. Using the arrow buttons on your keyboard, you can search for the food ordering application and click enter. We just need the configuration for Android and iOS. So using the space button, I would unselect macOS, web and Windows. By clicking enter, we set up the project. After all this configuration, I would stop the project and restart the code again. Next, we go to our main.dart And within our main function, we add the Firebase initialize app. We also add the widgets Flutter binding ensure initialized. Make sure this is placed above the Firebase initialize function. Next, we go to the home screen and create a function called fetch restaurant. To simplify this project and reduce all complexity, I'll be making use of Flutter built-in state management, such as set states and value notifiers. And since this is not a very complex project, I would add the function to fetch restaurant below the home screen class. This function is going to help us fetch data from Firebase. Using the function Firestore instance, we use the name of the collection, which is restaurants, to fetch all the data in the collection. So after fetching the data, we log the data in the debug console so that we'll see how the data looks like. Here we can see it comes as a document snapshot, but we'll need to create a model for the restaurant because it is more manageable as a Flutter model. So we'll create the restaurant model. Let's copy the values in the restaurant's JSON file. We'll set the type of each of the elements to be equal to the type which we expect from the JSON. Since each restaurant has a list of products, we'll create a class called product item. In the same way, we would create variables in the product items that are the same with the variables in the JSON file. So going back to the fetch restaurant function, we would access the document inside the data, and using a map function, we will look through each of the items and create a restaurant model for each of them. This would give us a list of restaurant models. Logging this in the debug console, we can see the list of restaurants. From our code, there was a type mismatch. Instead of sending a double to the model, we got an integer. But since ratings are going to be floating point numbers, we want this rating to be a double. So what we'll do is we'll save this rating as a num variable, and then within our class we'll call rating to double to convert the num to a double. Also, we'll set the type for the list of products so that we don't have any issues with typing when accessing the list of products. Once we restart the application again, we see the list of restaurants model being generated without any error. Next, we'll create a variable to store the list of restaurants whenever it loads, and we'll call this variable restaurants. Within our home screen, we'll remove all the restaurants lists and replace them with a restaurant. Using the restaurant list, we'll map each of the restaurant card. So in the restaurant function, after getting all our restaurants from Firebase, we'll set them to equal to restaurants. Then we call the set state. This refreshes the page and allows us to see the updates in the data. After restarting the application, we can see that each of the restaurant cards are still displayed with their previous images. To change that, we go to the restaurant card and create a restaurant model We add the restaurant model as a required variable in the restaurant card. After this, we replace the images with the image in the restaurant model. We also replace the name with the name on the restaurant model. Now we can see the changes in the restaurant. Let's create a loader state which shows the user that the page is actually being loaded. Using an if statement, we check if the page is loading, then we display a circular progress indicator. Else, we show our column which contains all our restaurant cards. We use an align widget to center the circular progress indicator to the center of the screen. While this circular loader is okay for our purpose, we can add more functionality by giving it a more beautiful loader. So I'll be using a shimmer widget to create a shimmer loader for our home screen. So we add the shimmer package to the popspec.yaml file, and on the home screen we'll create a loader widget which will be called the home screen loader. Since we want the shimmer widget to have the same shape as the restaurant cards and every other item on the home screen, we'll just copy all the items here and paste them in the home screen loader. The shimmer widget takes two variables, the base color and the highlight color. For the base color, we'll use a light gray and the highlight will be a white color. Within the widget, we'll just use a container to depict the shape we're trying to create. We would replace this for every other widget on the screen. Since the restaurant card is quite complex, we'll create a method for it within the home screen loader. We'll create the shimmer widget and paste all the widgets required to build the restaurant card within it. Next, we'll replace each of the items with a container having a similar size to their actual values. Once we reload this page, we see that we are not able to get the shimmer within the clipped part. This is because we didn't add a color to the container. So setting the color to white and refreshing the page, we get the shimmer effect we want. We make a few adjustments to other widgets. After that, we copy the restaurant card shimmer multiple times to simulate the multiple lists. So now once we restart the application, we can see the shimmer which comes up for a little while before the cards show up. So thank you for watching my video. I hope to see you on the next one. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel for more updates like this. See you next time.